So kudos this morning, lots of kudos, and we'll hopefully have a few minutes at the end for sort of an appreciative debrief. But the kudos this morning are to Dr. Junior of Mswangwa for being an expert in measurement of the banana yesterday. And a shout out to Japhet for making the effort to make a video. I know that is very challenging. So yes, Japhet. So thank you all. All right, so here's what we're going to do today. We've already had our welcome, and it was very nice to have welcome by multiple people this morning, and appreciate your kind words. We had the icebreaker about our music video. Now the great renaming. We're going to, Katie, how are we doing on the renaming? Do we need to go through that again, or?
So I have changed some names. So I think right now we are looking pretty good. So even if there are a few names that may not be to standard, but I think we can handle it. So it's good news this morning. And I've also been changing them if I know who you are. I'm trying my best.
Oh, very good, very good. Okay, so maybe we don't have to do the great renaming again, but I think you all understand why we've sort of been working on that great renaming is so we can get you in the right breakout room.
Can I just ask like one or two specific person? So Romana, I know you're from ZimTech, but I don't remember which group you went into yesterday. Could you put that group in the front of your name? And same thing for others. If you don't have the group name that you went into yesterday, I need you to do that in the front of before your name. Thank you.
Yeah, apparently the window is short, so really the front is important to have your name there. So we received, before I went to bed last night, we received several of your PDSA worksheets, and I know we received some more through the night. We do need everyone to go ahead and mute. So we're going to spend some time debriefing those. And then we hope to have a good 45 minutes that you'll be able to refine those based on the feedback you've received. So a good 45 minutes in your breakout rooms today. So we're looking forward to that. Then we'll do some clarification about the data collection. We'll have time for Q&A. Right at 1 o'clock your time, 7 o'clock our time, we're going to break and we're going to have some special guest that is going to be a surprise, but really looking forward to hearing from a couple of special guests. I realize that since we are not limited by geography anymore, we can invite special guests from many places. So I'll just leave that as a little teaser out there for you. And then we'll sign out at the end today, and we'll meet next again on September 30, 2 weeks from today. So the great renaming, I don't think we need to do that. So we'll just whip through those slides very quickly. Introductions. Now today we're going to do something a little bit different. I'm going to ask, we're going to have a little competition, and we're going to have 2 different teams. So we'll all turn on our cameras, but we're going to ask the Harare city sites, and that would include our NMRL and our BRIDH. That's going to be the first group that's going to turn on their cameras, and we're going to ask them to turn off their cameras, and then we're going to ask the Chitanguiza sites, the PSI lab, the 3 sites up there to turn on their cameras. Now, what is the competition, you ask? The competition is who looks the happiest. Now, there should be an immediate question. What is your immediate question when I say the competition is between who looks the happiest? What's your question? You can type it into the chat box. What's your immediate question when I say the competition is going to be between who looks the happiest? Oh, I love it. How do you measure happiness? Exactly. You guys are getting this. So that's perfect. We had 2 of our lab folks who have signed in with that. So here's the deal. We're going to measure happiness by your movement, okay? The more you move, the happier I'm going to think you are, okay? So we're only going to turn on the Harare city sites and our 2 labs in the Harare area. So at the count of 3, those sites turn on their cameras, and then remember the Chichen sites will get to turn on their second. So 1, 2, 3, Harare sites, NMRL, BRDH, turn on your cameras, and let's see happy. Let us see. I'm going to stop sharing my screen so I can get this great gallery view so I can see happy. Oh my, I've got lots of people there. I see lots of happy, lots and lots and lots of happy. All right, gonna capture the screenshot now. Happy, happy, happy. Awesome. Okay, very good. Now you all can turn off your cameras. And I'm going to ask the Chichen sites. Gotta capture that.
Barbara, there are 2 screens. Make sure you capture both.
Okay, so now everyone from Harare, turn off your cameras, and everyone from Chichen turn on your cameras, okay? That's our PSI lab. That's our 3 sites in that area. And I need to see happy now, okay? Am I seeing happy? I see Chieta. Oh my, okay, let me capture this screen here. So 1, 2, 3, I'm capturing the screen, looks super happy. Okay, and then I have to take a quick snap and save that picture. Okay, I don't know, who's going to judge? So, as the official judge today, I'm going to declare it a tie. Great job, guys. Appreciate seeing everyone's smiling face today. Okay. So we did turn on our cameras, and those are, oh, we got to look at the pictures from this week. Great, great pictures there. So love to see everyone's happy face. All right, we're beginning with the end in mind today. Hey, do you notice I'm at the beach today? It's our last day, so I'm at the beach today, virtually. Okay, so our aim for the whole thing we've been talking about is to improve the viral load coverage. And we want you to be ready to begin testing changes. I said the 17th, but we're going to say on Monday. So do all of your planning, make sure everything's in order, and be able to begin testing these changes on Monday. And what we're suggesting is a change a week, testing a different change a week. And we'll talk more about that as we talk about our PDSA plans. So a reminder here, when we were selecting our change yesterday, you really were not supposed to be coming up with your voice of customer and your root cause analysis and your opportunities for improvement. Those were deliverables from the September 2 conference. So really, those were already to be had, and then you were to use that as an input to select your change. So I noticed some of the groups I was getting in, you were still filling that one out yesterday, but really that one was already a deliverable from September 2. Then the detailed PDSA worksheets, and that's what we're going to spend a lot of time on today. And then at the end, we'll talk about the data collection plan and make sure that you are clear about that. And we'll work with Jafet in a way to get the video out or get the information out as well. So the changes to test came from those inputs, and those inputs are part of the work that we've been doing for the last 2 months. And then just a reminder, on September 30, what we want you to bring to us, and that's the day of the session, so we'll want you to provide the deliverable on the Monday before. We want you to give us the PDSAs that you've tested and those worksheets and the results you had. So I pulled together some of the PDSA plans that I had received in the day yesterday, and I want to just take a few of them. Not picking on anyone, because there were some similar issues that we identified. So we're going to take a few of those and kind of drill down into them and really be able to understand what's happening. So here's some of the common pitfalls that I saw. One, we gave you a menu of changes to select. So we said, if you want to do something outside the menu, please come and talk to us, but select the changes that we gave in the menu yesterday. The second issue was not thinking maybe big enough, not thinking about the entire process. So you could change a little piece of something and you'll want to test little pieces, but the big picture is you have to change that entire process, the appointment process, the clinic processes. You have to work on the entire process. It's a process redesign. Think process redesign. And then the PDSA plans didn't contain enough detail. So those are some general pitfalls. So let's dig down into some of the actual plans that we received. So select a change that has been given, okay? So go ahead and select a given change. It's a process that you're gonna look at. So the appointment system process, the information flow, if you do an outreach, how are you keeping track of the medical information and using it for patient care, not just putting it in a book and locking it up. And then to improve the clinic access, that whole process of the patient getting into the clinic and making sure they have their viral load sample drawn. And then the process of the patient-client activation, having the patient in this time when we've got more and more people spread out and the clinics have limited hours, very important that the patient or client is activated and understands their disease process and will actually follow through.
Barbara.
Yes.
I think there may be some confusion. So are you asking them to select one out of the 4 here or one out of 10, because there are 10 bullet points here?
One of 4. So the appointment system, the medical flow, these are just components of that system. Thank you. I appreciate that, Katie. Want to make that clear. Yeah. So there's 4 for the clinic, and then for the lab, we suggested a couple as well. And one is redesign the process of the result delivery and utilization. So that's truly a lab clinic interface. If we're sending the results quicker by email or SMS, we want them to be utilized. So the clinic has to have a process on their end, the lab has to have a process, and there has to be communication to know that there's been information transfer. And then sample rejection communication. We heard that at the very beginning. Voice of the customer was, we'd like to know in the clinics if a sample has been rejected so we can be more proactive about redrawing it, not just wait, and oh, the result hasn't shown up. So those are, we'd like you to select one of those changes. And then think about process. Think of redesigning the entire process. So here's viral load appointment book. That's part of that appointment process. So at the end of the day, we want to see this old process is here. This is the new and improved process. And they even broke out this new client notification process. So we want to see a new redesigned process. All right, so I'm going to stop. I said a lot. Any questions about that piece? And then we'll go into individual cases. And Katie, I am not able to activate the chat box right now. So if you see something, just pipe in and let me know.
Sure.
Now, there we go. I've got my menu back. So, okay. All right. So the first case that we're going to look at, the test was selected is reminding clients of appointments for the viral load sample collection. So that's a great change, small change to test, but we'd really like you to focus on the bigger piece and select the appointment system would be the change you're going to test. And then there will be sub things that you'll test under there. So reminder, these are our change menus for the clinic. So let's look now at the actual PDSA worksheet. So there are some concerns with this worksheet. So we'll start looking at them piece by piece. One is not enough details there, okay? Not enough details as to how the process is going to actually occur. So I want to remind you that we had done one of these PDSA worksheets when we were working on getting the introductions and the LARC webinars to go according to an SOP. And I'll just remind you that in that situation, we use this worksheet as well. But even that small little test, there were several details that we had to do to be able to test it. We had to create the SOP. We had to create the ordered list. Fortunate had to notify you all about the way we were going to be doing the introduction so everybody would be teed up, and then we had to implement it. In addition, we had to predict what we would think the result would be. So we thought 80% of the teams would be able to unmute and introduce themselves by August 5. Yeah. And then we had to define our measure, okay? You don't know if a change is an improvement unless you measure it, right? So those were things we had to do. And these were the results we had. And then we said we would adapt it and we changed it to do it different. We also said that another measure we could look at was satisfaction. So immediately we gave a satisfaction poll and on the Zoom. And we thought that 75% of the participants would be satisfied. So we could make a prediction based on a measurement. So, and then I want to remind you about yesterday. Look at these measurement instructions. So this is like an SOP for measuring a banana, right? There's a lot of great detail in that instructions. And actually, Dr. Maswanga did very well yesterday with all those instructions. I mean, might have been a question about what was the head and what was the toe, but the details were clear enough. So I really want to encourage you to remember that activity from yesterday and think about how those details are going to come out when someone entirely different who doesn't know your thinking or your process has to repeat it. So that is one thing that we want to add in, a detailed list of how we're planning to make sure it all happens. So insufficient details. Another one is no measure. And we just talked about the measures that are, and I gave you a couple of examples of things that you want to measure. So we need to have a measure in there and a prediction. And I will remind you the second question in the model for improvement. How do we know that a change is an improvement? We measure it. So that measure has to be in there. And here are, again, some measures. The number of sites who introduce, the percentage of sites, and then the customer satisfaction. Those are ways that you can measure whether the change is an improvement. So what else? Insufficient details. We didn't have a measure. We didn't have a prediction. And we said the person responsible was the clinician. And the specific change here is using SMS for a viral load sample collection. So the clinician can be the overall responsible person, but I thought about our Mr. Tim Woods waste. I'm hearkening way back to learning session 2. One category of waste is this misutilization of skills. So you want your clinician to be focusing on more clinical things, seeing the patients, sampling for blood, if that's what your clinicians do. But sending the SMSs would probably not be, now I don't know, there's not enough detail here to tell if the clinician was actually going to send that. You can make the clinician responsible, but it just occurred to me that we need to think of the best utilization of our skills. So remember Mr. Tim Woods, we want the clinician to be utilizing their clinical skills. We want someone else to be sending SMSs. So just a reminder there. And then, so we had insufficient details. We didn't have a measure, and we're talking about using SMS. So I want you to think about this. Is this a new change that you've never done before? So you're trying to understand if it will work, or is this a change and you have a problem with your implementation? It's something that you know you should be doing. So it's just a little bit different way to think about how you'll structure your improvement project. If it's something that you should be doing, we heard yesterday there were a lot of things that should be going on, but maybe are not going on. So think about if it's, if it's an easy thing, it would have been done. So obviously it's not easy if it's not being implemented. So how do you make your improvement project around implementation? So before I go to an example of how we might improve that, I want to stop and see if there are any questions about some of the pitfalls that maybe we have found with this worksheet.
So one thing I did see from the submitted slides from yesterday's group work was that the previous slide, when they selected the change from the root cause, from the process mapping, from voice of customer, whatever they selected did not match what was entered into this worksheet. So that's the biggest mismatch before they even get into the detail of the plan.
Okay, so thank you, Katie. Katie also reviewed many of the ones we received yesterday.
Barbara, could you also make me a host so I can start creating the breakout rooms now? Thank you.
Let me do that. Okay, I have to get my control bar to actually show up. So that's the challenge today. All right, here we go. All right, so Katie is going to make host. And that the only thing I won't be able to do a quiz, but we'll catch up on
I'll
it.
wait. Yeah, I'll wait then.
No, go ahead. I've already made you a host, so.
Okay, thank you.
So we're good. All right. So let's walk through an example of one with enough details, with the metric in there, with utilizing the right people with the right skills to do the right jobs. Let's look at an example, okay? And hopefully this will kind of click, and you will, once you get into your breakout room, you'll be able to work on this and refine yours to make it a little better, clearer, easier to follow, taking down all the steps that you're going to do to prepare, because you really have to jump in and start your test of change if not this week, the drop dead day is Monday. So let's look at this example. So we're talking about the appointment system. We selected one of the four, and that's the appointment system, but we're going to select something which this team did. They selected something smaller there. They selected reminding clients of appointments using SMS. And they put the clinician as responsible. That's fine. They can be the overall responsible person. And when's it going to be done by? So the SMS needs to be sent by September 25, and then the viral load needs to be done by the week after that. So make sure that you're timing your PDSAs, and we're saying one a week, a PDSA a week. That's easy to remember, right? A PDSA a week. So you're timing them so you can get a couple in before you come back. So we're just focusing on the small part of this appointment system using SMS. So here's some of the tasks that we might need to do. You may have different ones, but we might have to identify the eligible cohort. So we said we're going to start with March 2020. I think that's what Japhet told us yesterday. So we'll print the list. We're going to develop a brief SOP with a script. You know, what's the message that we're actually going to send? We're going to assure that we have airtime and all the needed resources in place, because we can't do it without that. We're going to schedule the actual test, and we're actually call the clients. We're going to implement, and then we're going to make sure that we are, after that we implement, that we're actually assessing, you know, how many clients did we call and how many clients came in for a viral load. So then we're going to make a prediction. We're going to predict that 60% of the patients called or having the SMS will respond and come in for a viral load within 1 week. So we set a time frame. We set a time frame that we're going to measure. So this is great. We can look at metric 1 because that's clients who receive the intervention. And we can look at metric 2. That's clients who had their viral load drawn out of all the clients in the cohort. So you called everyone in the cohort, you gave them a week to come in, and if they didn't come in within a week, if they did come in within a week and have their blood drawn, then you're going to be able to count that in those metrics. So this is an example showing you that the more detail you put in, the more clear, you know, you have to get this done by Monday in order to start to implement by Tuesday, right? So putting down the list and working through them. So that's one example. It's 10 after, so I want to get you into the room pretty quickly. So here's a second example. And this one, again, we didn't select one of the 4 changes. So this one fits nicely into improved clinic access. And it's a perfect change to test. We're going to do screening and bleeding first before going to consultation. So that's a little piece of our clinic flow process. So a perfect one to test in a week. So great. So we didn't have any data on this particular one, but here's what we might want to put into one. So this is another example of what you might want to do. You're going to describe your test of change, you're going to screen and bleed, and then you're going to have the consultation, who's responsible. You can put the clinician in overall being responsible, but you're going to have to you're going to have a brief SOP, or at least a piece of the process map that's going to show how it's going to work. You're going to have to meet with staff and kind of walk through the process. Make sure they understand how the process is going to go. You need to make sure that if you're going from point A to point B to point C, that it's in the correct direction of flow and it doesn't waste people's time. So then you're going to update that process table. Your people need to know who's doing what. If I'm a part of a new process, I need to know what my role and responsibility. And then you're going to implement. So you really have to start getting all these things walking around on Thursday and Friday so you can start implementing on Monday. So think of all the steps that you might have to do. And then we're going to predict. This fits perfectly into our outcome measures, but they're measured monthly, so they might be a little, further down the road, our outcome measures of samples drawn and getting the results in the Green Book. So we might want to just look at a process measure. If an eligible client arrives in the clinic, did they actually get their blood drawn? Did this new process keep them and make them stay in the clinic and get their blood drawn? So you might want to do a smaller little process measure. And because the outcome measure, it takes a little longer for those measures to occur. So there's another example. I'm going to stop here and ask if you have specific questions, or are you getting the picture? Like, give me a thumbs up if you're getting the picture. Put a comment in. Is it starting to make more sense? So this is a lab one, and this is a results relay by SMS. And again, I know that they didn't quite have time to get this finished, but in this prediction, you have a prediction. How are you going to measure that? But I do like the detail here. They have a lot of detail, but predict what's going to happen. This is the post-TAT, the time that it takes the results to get from the lab to the clinic, and working together to make sure that it's received. So you want to tighten that up a little bit. What are you actually measuring? What's your numerator? What's your denominator? Is it a simple count? It's not a numerator or denominator. All right, and these are the change menus for the lab. One more case study, and this is a quick reminder, nothing has happened yet. So don't put in the results yet because you haven't done anything yet. This is what you're going to do when you go back to your clinic next week. So there's a reminder. Don't put a results in there because it hasn't happened. And then this case study I want to share really quickly because I shared this yesterday. This would be a one test. This would be a 1 week kind of a test, right? I could do this in 1 week. This sticker, I'm working on my appointment system. That's the big picture here, but I've nailed it. I've gone down 1 week. I'm going to see if the stickers work. Okay, this is a small piece of this big redesign. So I did that 1 week. What would I do next week? So you can feel free to type in the chat box. What do you think if I did? I'm working on the appointment system overall. If I did that 1 week, what would I do next week? Because you're going to have to leave with 2 PDSA worksheets today. So I want you to know what you're going to do next week and the week after. So that's a really important question. So let me see if I can look at my chat box here and see if anyone's put anything in the chat box. What if I'm working on the appointment system and this week I'm working on appointment creation, what could I work on next week? So this week I'm going to get this smoothed out. I'm going to adapt, right? I'm going to get some different stickers. I'm going to rearrange. I'm going to spend a week getting this appointment creation sticker thing working well. That's my job for this one week. So what would I do the next week? Okay. I'm looking in the chat box. See people are joining in from home. That's awesome. So I'm going to count to 7. My facilitator skills say I can count to 7 and wait. So here's a hint. The appointment system has several components. This is getting an appointment created with a sticker alert. I'm presuming the sticker would go in the patient's book. I think that's what we're referring to here. What could I test next week? We're going to have fun. We're going to actually do these PDSAs. We're going to get things working smoothly. So what else could I test next week? Related to the appointment system. I see more people are joining our meeting. That's fabulous. You can be brave. You can put something in there, anything in the chat box. All right. No one's brave today. So we're working on the appointment system. We've spent a week. We've gotten this sticker thing worked out to where it's working well for the nurse and the client. We think it will yield results in our outcome measure, but we're looking at it short term. What about the SMS reminders? We just went through that one, right? The SMS reminders for an appointment. We could spend the next week getting that piece working well, okay? So think about getting all the pieces of the system working well. And then in the next week, in 3 or 4 weeks' time, we could have a whole new process. We might have electronic appointment making. We might have sticker communication. We might have SMS reminders. So at the beginning, think about what your future state looks like, what you want your new state to look like, and then do some small tests to make sure each piece is working well. But ultimately, big picture, you want to get to redesigning this whole appointment system so it's working better. So here is, we're going into the breakout room. You are going to have, Katie, they're going to have 35 minutes. I want them definitely back before 7. So here's what you're going to do. Those plans that you worked on yesterday, based on the cases we've talked about, the details we've talked about, the pitfalls we've talked about, we're going to ask you to refine and update the PDSA worksheet for this week. Can we have everyone mute? Okay, so we're going to refine and update that PDSA worksheet for what the test you're going to do next week and the test you're going to do the following week. Within the system or the process that you're working on. So 2 PDSA worksheets will be outputs. And again, at the end of the day today, when you send those to us, we are going to look at them very carefully and send back any feedback that we can that will help you be successful. We want to see success in carrying out those PDSAs. And it should be fun, right? You're learning if something works. And if it doesn't work, you still learn. So it's PDSAs are for learning. So any questions about that? So is everyone ready to go to the breakout rooms? We're going to work on 2 PDSA worksheets. Any questions? Because we really like this to be clear, because once you get into a room, it's harder to answer questions.
Hi, Winnie.
Hi, Katie. I was enjoying the music.
Yes, okay.
Hi, Barbara. How are you?
Hi, Winnie. So wonderful of you to be here. So
Sure.
I'll do a quick introduction to the group. We have about, what, 58 participants on today? So I am pleased to introduce to you the CEO of the Kenya Obstetrical and Gynecologic Society, Ms. Winnie Sheena. Her background in education, she has a Bachelor of Science in Nursing. She has several diplomas in leadership, certificate in global leadership, and a Master's of Science in Community Health and Development. She has served in several work roles, including with the Ministry of Health, and her background has been in reproductive health and now in leadership. And one thing that caught my eye looking over her CV was she has worked on something called Best Idea, the Healthcare Quality Challenge. Now, I know Winnie because she worked with us as an par excellence, a technical advisor when we did LARC in Kenya. I consider her an excellent colleague, a friend, and she is very inspirational when she talks. So I asked her to come on and share a little bit with us today about her journey. So I wanted to ask her, so I see that you've worked in quality. What role has quality, what does it have in your professional life today? Working on quality improvement. So over
Wow,
to you.
thank you, Barbara. Hi, everybody. I may not have the privilege of meeting and knowing everybody, but I trust that you've had a good 3 days of luck. Luck is very interesting. Oh, the music. I was just feeling, Katie, why didn't you pull this up when we were in Kenya? I don't know. Anyway, that is nice. So yes, I did work on a project, and it was the best idea that we had to come up with an idea for quality. And that was a congress that was being held by the Aga Khan University, East Africa. And I happened to have won a project because of the idea that I gave for quality. And unfortunately, we were not able to advance the project to fruition. However, I still retain the title and the trophies and all that we were able to get. But that said, I have done and worked in quality improvement arenas. And of importance is that quality helps you focus and helps you. Actually, the point of all what we do is to provide quality care. And I believe that we are all in the health fraternity. We are all working either from the hospital, or we are working in a lab, or we are working somewhere. For me, where I work, I implement projects in facilities and communities that are reproductive health related. And so we often look at quality as one of the key components for service delivery and even patient satisfaction. And so if I may talk about quality improvement, there's a lot to talk about. It's the golden thing in health. And so there's so much that I can say. But then I look at my professional work today and I'm thinking, how do I use quality improvement? Even though I don't work in the wards actively, I do not work. I'm an administrator. I work, I oversee staffs, and I implement policies. Then how is it going to benefit or work? Or how am I benefiting from quality improvement? I say that if I had not understood quality from the lack perspective, there's so much of training in quality that is going on that is not harmonized. And so everybody is training quality, but I'm not sure and whether it is the right kind of content that we are delivering out there. But the moment I was able to interact with the lack content, then lack content, I realized a few things. One, it broke down quality into very, very simple components and concepts that you can apply even in your kitchen, for example. In my workplace, I ask myself every day, what am I supposed to accomplish today? What am I supposed to accomplish after 1 month? What am I supposed to accomplish after 6 months? I work on contracts. I work on deliverables. I am given terms of reference. I have goals and targets that have been set for by the board that I need to achieve. And so I have to be very careful how I use my time. And so I have to keep asking myself, what am I trying to accomplish? And that is my point. That's the aim. That's the reason why I'm there. There's something I'm trying to accomplish. And that question is in the 3 questions. What am I trying to, the aim of luck, the aim of your project, what are you trying to accomplish? So I keep asking myself, what am I trying to accomplish today? Then I ask myself another second question, which we all know. How will I know that a change is an improvement? Again, that helps you to avoid redundancy. Yeah, it helps you to avoid wastage of resources. I always say activity is not accomplishment. you can have too much activity with nothing that you can show for. You can go around and expend energy and actually not have anything to show for at the end of the day. So as an administrator, again, I ask myself, after all is said and done, yeah, after all is said and done, all these things that have been making changes, moving stuffs around, trying to take them for training, bringing them back, how will I know that that which I have done is an improvement? You know, and if it's not an improvement, why then do we need to spend resources on that particular area? So it has helped me to stop wasting resources, stop wasting time, you know, being able to focus, narrow down, you know, to something that you can be able to measure. Yeah. And so that is where your measurement comes in. Then what changes will you make that will result in improvement? Yeah. That is again the question that you keep asking yourself. What am I trying to accomplish today? And if I make this change, will it result in improvement? And that's the basis. If we are not going to improve our jobs, then we have no business being at work. We all go to work to improve. By the way, we cook in our houses so that we can improve our health. We sleep so that we can improve our health. We take you know, good diet. I've seen one person with a mask on. We are trying to look at all these COVID restrictions. We are improving our life. We are washing hands so many times. We are sanitizing, you know. Even in our matatus, I didn't even know what sanitizing is. Now they know there's an improvement. But, you know, there's an improvement going on. But those are the changes that you're talking about. What changes will I make so that it can actually result into an improvement? And I think that is the basis. You must always be looking towards improving something at your workplace. Otherwise, then you will be sacked, be fired. And for me, if you don't improve, you don't show results, then you have no business being there. I also think about sustainability. How will I sustain the improvement? Yeah, so we started so well. I always use COVID because everybody can relate to COVID, you know, every one of us, yeah, can relate to COVID. When we started, everyone was so scared. No, I mean, 2 meters away, it was 2 meters away, yeah. And we were able to sustain that insofar as every time we were told somebody has died and we were feeling, oh no, that shouldn't have happened. But over time, 6 months in our country, 6 months down the line, people have really not sustained the change. Yeah, the improvement that was there has actually gone down. Why? Because we've kind of gotten used. Yeah, we've gotten used to the problem. We've gotten used to. I cannot know my neighbor is not COVID positive, so I don't have I don't have somebody closer to me who I can relate to and say this one got COVID, and so therefore I have to be careful. So we've not been able to sustain the change. And I know that is the same thing across board. Instead of wearing our masks, we are putting them on our necks, we are doing whatever. And so we cannot sustain the improvement. The thing is this, you have to think about how then will I sustain the improvement? How will I make sure that this improvement sticks on? What else do I do in my work that I think relates to luck? We solve problems. Yeah, I mean, there's always going to be problems somewhere. And sometimes we may want to solve problems ad hoc, but there are tools that we can use. The fishbone, you can look at the root cause analysis and find out what is the problem. I mean, and actually get to the root of the problem and realize that this is the problem. This is it. I'm not dealing with surface matter. I'm not dealing with the fruit. I'm dealing with the actual root. This is the problem. And that helps organizations like mine to not be able to deal with the fruit, but actually go to the root and not waste resources. Because for us, we are key on resources: finance resource, time resource, human resource. If you waste those resources, then you deem to be a better manager. And then I also think about it and say,
I want to ask someone to go ahead and mute their mic. Everyone just double check your mic.
Barbara, you are the host now. You can mute second.
Oh, I thought you were the host. Okay. All right. So Winnie, we'll just take a little minute here and I will try to mute the person who has their mic open.
It's second north.
Okay. All right, I think we've got it now. I think everyone has their mics muted now, so that's great. Maybe.
Okay.
Winnie, you have been saying what we've just been talking about today. So
Oh.
timely and so apropos. I love it that you're using the model for improvement. Do you have any words of wisdom for this LARC group? We've been going here for a while, but we've had challenges, of course, like everyone with the COVID. But words of wisdom from your experience.
I think if you like results at your work, if you really are a result-oriented person, then you will not have a problem with luck. It will be automatic. You'll love it. It's result-oriented. And if we are looking for results, then luck is the way to go. That's what I say. Luck is key on team. Luck is key on cross-cadre, cross-pollination, so that we are not working in silos. We are working together. I am a nurse, but I am an executive officer of a gynecological society in my country. And sometimes people just wonder how that happened. That's cross-cadre, cross-pollination. That is breaking the silo right there. I actually am not a gynecologist. I may be a nurse midwife, but I'm not a gynecologist, but still I work as a chief executive in that society. And luck helped me realize that it actually can be possible, because when I was working with Barbara, I was a project coordinator. I was not in the position I am right now. And so for me, I feel like if you are able to really get into understanding that luck is about helping you get results on a day-to-day basis, it's not even about the project, it's not even about the improvements in the lab or the viral load or whatever. You can actually get results for your life using luck and the skill sets that you actually acquire. And the attitude that you get can help you or propel you to realize you can be more than what you thought you can be. Because maybe you, in your silo approach, you thought, I cannot work with this group of people. I'm only used to my professional cadre because it's comfortable. And it's comfortable when we are similar, yeah? But when you come to luck and you all have to work together, you realize, no, we can break the barriers. I can actually give input, I can deliver in another cadre very well. Like that's what I'm doing currently in the country. So I would wish that people just look at luck, not from the perspective of the project and how soon or when it's going to be implemented or end, but how is it going to improve my life as it is right now? And I know once you look at it from that perspective, even your finance, even the way you manage your money, the way you manage your children, the way you manage your own household is going to change as a result of you thinking results. You'll always be looking at results and measuring results, measure, change, improve, sustain, like that. And you realize things are actually moving in your house as opposed to, running around and doing the same things over and over again and not seeing any improvement. That's my little piece of wisdom.
Wow, Winnie, that it's really so great to hear you again, and you inspire me very much. Congratulations on your new role, and thanks so much for jumping in. It's just fabulous that we can share across different geographical locations now that we're all on Zoom. So thank you so much for coming today. Appreciate it very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Winnie.
Thank you, Katie.
Good to see you today. Thank you so much for coming and sharing your inspiring talk.
Okay.
Very inspiring.
Okay, I'll exit now, I think.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Winnie. Appreciate it.
Okay.
And Barbara Talkmore is here.
So our next guest may not need as much introduction in Zimbabwe, but I will attempt to do an introduction as well. So Dr. Talkmore Maruta is currently the Senior Biosafety and Biosecurity Officer at the Africa CDC. Now, when you look at his background, he has a background as a medical laboratory scientist. And then he went on with his education to get a master's and a PhD in public health. He's worked with organizations like CHI and FIND and the Botswana HIV, Botswana Harvard HIV Partnership, the East Central and Southern Africa Health Community, and has really advanced public health, disease surveillance, and emergency preparedness across Africa. Tagmore hails originally from Zimbabwe. Currently, he's in Zambia. In addition to this, I know Tagmore as a colleague professionally, and I consider him a friend. And Tagmore has the gift of very eloquent and inspiring speaking as well. And as I was thinking of not being bound by geography, I thought it would be very encouraging today to hear some words from our other colleagues. So Tagmore, the same question: how does quality apply to your professional life today? How did you get excited about it? And give us some words of wisdom. So thank you so much for coming and joining us today, Tagmore.
Thank you very much, Barbara. Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for having time to listen to me. I hope the sessions that you have been doing have been going very well. One thing I can assure you, we are in very safe hands with Barbara and Katie, and I'm talking from experience. So let me start by just thanking you, Barbara, Katie, and Anna Murphy. I'm not sure if she's with you, but these are some of our grandmothers that we speak about when we talk about quality, and for being the brains behind some of the transformative programs that have gone through Africa when it comes to quality improvement. So maybe just to speak about a little bit about how maybe quality improvement has impacted my life, both professionally as well as socially. Just to refer to what a gentleman called Helmut once said, he said, the biggest room in the world is the room for improvement, meaning that there is always room for improvement, and this is the basis and the backbone for quality improvement. In my life, I've tried to never feel comfortable with where I am. I strongly believe that where I am is because I've improved from where I was, meaning the now is an opportunity to create yet another improvement. So to always invest in getting better. I recall 17 years ago, I had a very life-changing reflection at the place where I was working. I remember we were about 40 to 45 of us, and I asked myself one question one morning, that if someone was to come to this place and they would like to recruit maybe one person for a higher or a better position, where will I be in the queue for those who can qualify for that position? So I arranged the 45 of us with in a queue in my mind. And I realized that I was not making the top 10. So I decided that I needed to do something about it at that time. I needed to go back to the basics and having to improve not just my life, but also my professional life. Secondly, when I also look at in quality improvement, you always say measurement is the first step that leads to control and eventually to improvement. If you can't measure something, it means you can't understand it. And if you can't understand it, it means you can't control it. And if you can't control it, it means you can't improve it. So quality improvement has really taught me that you need to record and track what you do. Just to reflect on what I did this morning when I woke up, I sat on my desk, and the first thing I did was to write down what I want to do today. I reviewed what I said I would do yesterday, and then I perused over my projection for the week. In a way, I documented what I wanted to do yesterday, I checked it today, and I also put down what I want to do tomorrow as a way of always checking my progress and seeing whether I am improving or I'm not improving. So one thing that quality improvement has taught in my life, professional life, is that you always need to track what you are doing. So it's not all about I'm doing something, but you need to, at the end of the day, be able to say, this is how much I have achieved, this is where I failed to achieve, and this is where I was supposed to. So really quality improvement has showed me, has helped me professionally to be better organized in my life. Over to you, Barbara.
Barbara, you're muted.
Technology.
Okay. Yeah. So thank you, Talk More. You always do inspire me. So how did you decide to become interested in QI? What kind of prompted you?
In life, Barbara, there is always that person who inspires you. I was fortunate to work with a great friend of mine, Dr. Skulile Moyo, who was then the quality manager at the Botswana Harvard Reference Lab. With him, I sometimes he would sometimes just call me to sit in his office and to just watch and listen to the telephone conversations that you'll be having with the people in the lab. And I also remember one day he asked me to carry his laptop back to a meeting that he was having with the National AIDS Council, where he was presenting to the directors from the Ministry of Health. And he was presenting on the role the lab plays when it comes to HIV response, and how it ensures that there's quality of results in the HIV program. As I was sitting there, it dawned to me how quality improvement was the driving force behind all this research that I've been doing, all this research that we've been doing, the clinical work that was going on. So I initially just started as his messenger boy. So I would move around, volunteer, to go around in the lab collecting all this quality improvement data from him, from the different departments, the quality control results, checking on people on his behalf, the results had been sent, and so forth. So the next thing I found myself, I was part of the quality team in the lab. And from there, the rest is just history. So in life, sometimes you do not have to wait for opportunities, but to create these opportunities for yourself. I realized that quality improvement was the avenue for me to make a difference in my career. Over to you.
Wow. Wow. That's fabulous. Talk more words of wisdom for the participants here. We've, sometimes we're so in the weeds of the project, we forget to sort of think about the bigger picture. So what words of wisdom do you have for us as we're learning more about quality improvement?
And if I may chime in, talk more,
Yes.
Even before COVID-19, Zimbabwe just had been facing so many challenges. Implementation was just so difficult. And now adding that COVID-19 on top of that. So I think your inspirational words will be particularly be helpful here. So thank you. Over to you.
Yes, thank you very much. I think the story that I sometimes tell is a story that some people may find also inspiring if they are in difficult situations and conditions, as we have described. If I recall some years back, it's no longer a few years now, around 2010, when I was invited to one of your programs, Katie and Barbara, the Slamter TOT. I remember arriving in that room, and I had been one of those extra participants. So I was sitting right at the back of the room next to the trainers. I did not have a training manual. I did not have a name tag. But little did I know that that was going to be a life-changing experience. I recall during those 2 weeks with my colleague, Mr. Ndlovu, who is now the Chief Executive Officer for ASLM, we made a declaration, and we called it the Johannesburg Declaration, where we agreed that this program that we're going through, which is what we're missing when it comes to implementing structured quality improvement in laboratories or in health systems in general. And we made a commitment that whatever it is that we had, little as it was, we were going to take everything we had to make sure that we can be able to implement this program. And when we started, initially it was slow, But you know, when you invest in change and you document and track your change, the results always speaks for themselves. And this is what, when I realized that quality improvement was actually worth our time, despite some of the limitations, the resources that we had at that time. From there on, I think quality improvement is taking us to many places that probably I never dreamt of. It has made me step into more than 25 countries in Africa, landing me in the shores of the Caribbean, Jamaica, Trinidad and Tobago, Bahamas, Haiti, you name them. Gave me the opportunity to meet with very high people, speaking to permanent secretaries, speaking to ministers of health, talking about quality improvement. So I think where you are sometimes, it sort of make you like a horse, which is only allowed to see where it is going. But in life, you sometimes have to think outside the box and think beyond the problems that you are seeing so that you can be able to move forward. Maybe as my last words of inspiration to my colleagues, I know hello, can you still hear me?
Yes.
Oh yes, it was giving me a message that I've been signed out. So just as probably my last words for inspiration to my colleagues that are in Zimbabwe, I know they are in a very difficult situation. And sometimes when you look at things, you think maybe these stories that are told are stories that are probably maybe not possible given the situation that they are. But I've always tried to live on 3 basic principles in my life. One, first of all, just to, if you think of something that is important, try to do it yesterday. At the latest, try to do it today, and never say I'll do it tomorrow. Sometimes tomorrow, sometimes later becomes never, and you may end up not doing it. And I try to be that person who, when someone wants something to be done very quickly, they always have to look for it. So you have to sort of position yourself by way of think how you conduct your business by being organized and ensuring that the work that you do give results. Also, just to know that greater things never come from comfort zones. It's going to be hard, but hard is never, doesn't mean it's impossible. Some people always say it's always impossible until someone else has done it. Recently, I was talking again to my colleague, Mr. Love, who I referred to, how we used to sleep on the benches of airports, how we used to drive 7 to 8 hours in foreign countries in public transport, how we used to meet our families at the airports to exchange bags because we are moving, sleeping at 3 a.m. so that you can be ready tomorrow at 7:45, sleeping in rooms where you have a stream of rainwater flowing under your bed because you're in a very remote state. But all that today is a story. And this starts from where it is not comfortable. So great things, they never come from comfort zone. And never wait until everything is in place. All you need is enough to begin, and never be afraid of making mistakes. This is one of the greatest fears that we all have in life, fear of making mistakes. And this is the essence of quality improvement. You learn from your mistakes so that you can be able to improve. So I think it's always inspirational, I think, to hear people that are just like you, who have also managed to reach some heights. We can talk even about people that are from Zimbabwe there, the Edwin Shumpas, the Fabin Zombes, who are now program managers for international organizations. And they all started somewhere in very difficult conditions, but they also used this route of quality improvement in their workplaces to be where they are. Hopefully this may help someone who is listening to me. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Talkmore. We really appreciate you taking your time out of your obviously very busy schedule to come and share a few words of inspiration. And always, I could listen to you all day, Talkmore. So thank you so much for joining us. We really appreciate it. So everyone, let's give a round of applause for Dr. Talkmore. Thank you very much. We really appreciate it.
Thank you so much, Talkmore. It's so good to see you.
Yes, thank you very much, Katie. Good to see you too.
And take a quick look at the chat box. People feel inspired.
Oh, I'll do that before I log off.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. you.
Oh, yeah,
Thank
here.
you.
Wow, thank you for the inspiring words. Wow, thank you. Help us
Thank you very much. Thank
help
you.
us soaring high. Thanks, Dr. Togmore. Great stuff. So lots of appreciation. So really, very, very much appreciate having you join us today.
Thank you so
Thank
much,
you.
Talk More.
We're
Thank you
inspired.
very much.
Yes.
And good luck for the rest
Bye-bye.
of your program. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank-
Well, I'm inspired, very inspired after hearing those two speakers, and just thrilled that they took the time to join us and share with us. And just fabulous to hear how this road of quality improvement spills, it's in your workplace, but it spills over to your entire life. So very, very inspiring words. Well, so now we want to get back to some question and answers. So we have about 10 minutes that we can do some question and answers. And there's one thing that I will sort of remind you about, if you'll just let me scroll back through my slides here for a second. But now's the time to type in any of your questions into the chat box. What I would like to share, to go back to the ground after floating in the clouds. I noticed in some of the groups that I jumped in that there may have been a little confusion about selecting one of these options. So please select one of these options to work on. You're working on an appointment system. You're working on, if you're doing outreach, how you make the medical information flow, improving the access to your clinic. That's a big, you know, there's a lot of things you can do to improve the efficient and effective parts of your clinic. And then patient client activation or education, process redesign. So you pick one of those and that becomes your change, quotes change. That becomes your change. And then once you pick that and decide what you're going to work on, you write the PDSA worksheet related to that change. That's how we make change happen, is this PDSA worksheet. So have a quick poll question for you. I don't know if there are questions coming in, but here we go. What is the definition of change? So at the core of what we're doing is change. The core of what we're doing is change. I've got 23% of the people have voted, 27%, 33%. Okay, I'm gonna end the poll because everyone has got the exact correct answer. It's make or become different. So some of the groups I also noted were working on just things that they were already doing in their clinic. Now, if you're not implementing them well, then you need to understand why. And perhaps that is a good change project to work on. But in general, we want to make or become different. What we're doing is not reaching the results. Both of our amazing speakers today talked about reaching results. That is where we are focused. We've got to reach results, and we can't reach the results we want to reach by doing the same thing. That is why we must pick a change, and we must implement a piece of it and do a small test of change. So that is crucial to what we're doing. We got to get results, and to do that, we have to show a change. So questions? Any questions in the chat?
Not at this moment.
Okay, all right. So here's what we Oh, here's one more quiz, one more poll that we have. Okay. This is an important quiz question. Small test of change. How long does it take to perform a small test of change? Which is the tool we use is the Plan, Do, Study, Act, PDSA cycle. You can choose, select all that apply. So you can select more than one answer on this one. Oh, we're getting lots of answers. We have answers in every category, okay? All right, once we get past, so we've got 50%. So look at this. 50% of people have voted. 81% of you said 1 week. That is beautiful. You can start doing some small test of change in 1 day. 5 months, yeah, big X. No, we're not doing a small test of change in 5 months. We're doing a small test of change in a week. This between now and September 30, when we come back together, we are going to carry out some small test of change. And this PDSA worksheet is really to help you get things lined up so you can test them very well. So not 5 months, not 1 year, a day or a week are appropriate answers. Okay. We are really a bit short of time and probably will not get much to data collection. What we'll do is we will focus on that a lot more when we get to the next learning session. But what I want to do is give you this data collection plan that you can go forward with. We'll send this to you. I plugged in some numbers. Japhet may have some information to add here, but we're going to collect our main metrics on a monthly basis. And Japhet did a great job yesterday of showing us how those are collected on a monthly basis. And here are the 3 metrics. We're going to collect it in the clinic. Metric 1 is, if you called people, how many % of people did you call in that cohort? So you'd use some kind of tracking log. Metrics 2 and 3, you're going to use the green book. And then when did you have training on that metric? Well, we had training in this learning session, and we can have our in-country team will be able to deliver that to help you to focus on getting that measurement plan over the next couple days. So we'll share that with you. I'm suggesting monthly on the first day of the month following the end of the period, you'll check.
Barbara, can I ask a clarifying question? So earlier you said that we are going to do PDSA on a weekly basis, and now you are saying that we don't do the data collection until only once a month. So can you maybe explain the different frequency?
Okay. So in that PDSA plan, there is definitely a place for a measurement. You may be measuring this big outcome measure of getting the viral load results drawn, and these may be contributing. The small test of change that you're doing may be contributing to that. You may pick some smaller measure. You may be talking to people, You may be getting some qualitative data, or you may be doing things that contribute to this big outcome metric, or you might do some small process measures to make sure that you're carrying out the test as you intended. But the main thing we're focused on is getting more people having their viral load done. So that's the big measure that we're looking at here. This is the overall data collection log. This is what you would use. I'm sorry, I'm not in presentation mode. This is what you would use to collect the metrics over time. And then this is how you would calculate the metric for each month. I will leave that with you. Again, you have Japhet as a resource. We'll focus on this more in our next meeting. We sort of ran out of time a little bit there. But I think you heard from both of our speakers too, how that results count, that you always need to be measuring to know where you are and to know if you've really made an improvement. So data collection will be a key part of what we do. What my suggestion is that you work very hard on getting those PDSA plans lined up and what you think you would measure. If you think it will feed into this big outcome measure, which everything we do should focus on that, then put that in there. If you think that this small test of change deserves a smaller measurement, a way to measure it or understand it, then put that in there. We will comment and we will get it back to you for sure in the next couple days so you can really start a PDSA. We've talked about this, folks. We have talked about this in last October. So here's the time. There's no more time. This is the time to do the PDSA is now. So there's never quite enough time to cover everything, but I think the key is making this plan of how you're going to carry out your test, carrying it out, and measuring, understanding if it helped or not, whether it's a big monthly measure or whether you pick some smaller measure just to focus on that week. So that is where we are right now. We have 10 minutes left. So if there are any questions, I think this is a perfect time to ask them. If there's anyone that, if you want to appreciate anyone, I will just, as part of this, I want to appreciate the RTI, Fortunate, Japhet, people who've really invested a lot of time in making this, getting the wheels turning every day to keep us moving. So thank you. I think we will send it over to our sponsors for any additional comments. I think to be really very clear, these are the deliverables. I think we're going to end on this. This is our outcome of what we need to be able to do. Select that change, which you should have done yesterday. Plan how you're going to carry out these tests of change. We're doing something different. We want to know if it works. This is just a tool. And then we will collect data over time. So those are our 3 outputs. We've always said we're beginning with the end in mind from day 1. So I'll leave you with this slide. And we definitely want to get the presentations as soon as we can so we can provide some feedback. And so I'll turn it back over to Dr. Junior and the team there. And then before everyone leaves, I want to definitely take a quick poll.
Maybe, Barbara, before you close this session, can you hear me, guys?
Yes,
Yes.
Go right ahead, Japhet. Thank you.
Oh, okay. Thank you so much. Let me just also remind the lab folks that when we're displaying on the data collection plan and the data collection process, we have not left you behind. I'm sure you remember what we agreed upon in terms of the data collection piece, our aim, and also to echo this to our facility teams that the clinic lab interface is still, in existence. The labs are working on a metric, and we had a lengthy discussion on the things that they are focusing on. But we felt that maybe for this learning session, since we have a restricted time, we'll just focus more on the the clinic side of the data collection piece. But we have not left them behind. Over.
Thank you, Japhet. And those two changes that we suggested for labs really feed perfectly into the turnaround time and the rejection rates. So that's why we picked those, because they relate to the metrics that we set out, back in October. So thank you, Japhet, for noting that.
Thank you so much. Yeah, I was still going through what our presenters, the two that came in, Winnie and talked to us about. I've got one or two statements that really touched me. One was, the biggest room in the world is the room for improvement. Mm-hmm. And I looked through my life, and I looked at my workplace, and it seems that room will never be full. That was really, really true. So here we have got a room where we really want to make sure that we utilize every space of it, given that we have been given this opportunity to actually improve on the way that we are doing within the health sector. I usually call it a calling. People don't understand when people are in the health field how we work, because there's a lot of commitment, there's a lot of passion, there's a lot of you tend to be associated with the output. Nobody would want to work in the health field where there's unnecessary deaths. So what we have been called to do, it doesn't allow us to make mistakes, doesn't allow us to use too much resources, doesn't allow us to be selfish. And I'm thinking these were great talks. Talk more, and we could go on and on every day, the whole day, sorry, listening to them. Then I'm also looking at Katie and Barbara. I think it was Tokmo who said, you are in safe and capable hands. We are lucky to have you guys, and we feel really that statement talks true of you. And we will continue to do our part, and we know you'll be there for us. So this is a continuous thing. We still need we have that room that we can't fill, which is the room for improvement. So we'll continue to work, and we won't disappoint you, I hope. And I'm hoping, I'm speaking on behalf of everybody, and everybody is sharing the same sentiments with me. As for our participants, thank you so much. I've been tracking numbers. Today, I think we had almost 61. Yesterday, there was 65. It's amazing. I remember we were quite excited. I think it was in August, after having quite a bit of a rough time due to the lockdowns, and then we had 41. And I remember in all our subsequent reports, we were actually quoting that, yeah, we had a participation of 41, but we have managed to exceed within this learning session, which is really amazing. And I think what now it takes is for us to translate what we have learned into practice. To the ministry, I didn't see Dr. Kabo, but through Japhet, we read
the WhatsApp.
Sorry? Okay. To Japhet, you are carrying a big, I can't even put sight what you are carrying, because we are doing this as part of the ministry, and the ministry So I think would really.
Sorry, Doc.
Yes.
Hello.
Hello.
Wobbly Tariro, please mute your mic. Wobbly.
Hello.
Yes, we can hear you, Doc.
Okay, so I think you can relay the information, you can relate to the ministry through, we are relaying our appreciation of your support and the fact that you actually, as a representative of the government, you chose that we should actually have this activity. We are Zimbabweans, and whatever good that comes out of this activity, we are also going to benefit and enjoy. So we really appreciate the way, the strategies that he came through such that we have this activity going. To our funder, CDC, Chaku, I think you are still there. Yes, things have not been that rosy within the CLI LAC, but we have managed to work together and eventually we can see the fruits. I know there was someone who said, I think it was Tokmo, who said greater things come from where it is comfortable. So this is an example where we can actually, relate to that saying. And from BRTI, we actually have got a very vibrant management and our colleagues within the teams who are working. And then I also want to appreciate my colleagues that are on this call, Dr. Agnes Manjoro, and of course, our matron, Fortunate. Thank you so much. At this stage, I think unless if Chaku or what's his name, Jafet, you want to say something? Otherwise, I think we can close the meeting. So perhaps I'll give a few minutes for either Chaku or Jafet.
Let's have Taku first, then I'll ask Sandra to wrap up. Sandra or Lucia, again, then close the meeting.
Okay, and don't leave, we have a poll.
And everyone else, please mute your mic.
Now, thank you very much, Dr. Muchomba. I think you really articulated the issues very, very well. I mean, I enjoyed myself today, and you can really sense excitement from the various teams when it comes to community improvement, and really see that with the different people are thinking beyond just their spheres of influence, their workstations, and thinking either overreaching into the clinical facilities or back into the laboratory. So really excited about the crop of coaches that are going to be coming from this collaborative, and they're going to be learned nationally. So I'm very excited, and I just can't wait to see the of CLI in the next few months. Many thanks, Barbara, Katie, BRTI, MOH participants. Thank you very much.
Before ministry,
Edcliffe Polly, thank you.
Thank you all. Goodbye. In the meeting.
Can I come through?
Barbara, as a host, you can mute those people's mic.
I have been hitting mute, but apparently I cannot mute them, so. Yeah, Javed, is there one more person to speak before we have the poll?
Yes, we have a representative from the Department of Laboratory Services from NMRL.
Oh, good.
Over to you, Sandra.
Thank you, Japhet. On behalf of the lab teams and of course the Ministry of Health, I'd like to extend our gratitude to the facilitators, Barbara and Katie. Thank you very much for your time and thank you very much for your patience and really taking your time to make sure that we understand all the principles that we need to apply to improve our work. We want to thank our sponsors, the CDC. Thank you, BRTI, for facilitating. And thank you to everyone who has taken time to be part of this exercise. And we really look forward to each and every one of us implementing what we've learned here today. And sometime next year, we want to be able to say our VL coverage has improved significantly, and all thanks to the LAC exercise. Thank you very much to everyone. Have a good day.
Okay.
So maybe over to you, Barbara.
Okay, well, I just have a closing poll and thank you all.
Before you close, can I just say something?
Yes,
before you
please.
close, yes. I just wanted to say a bit of correction, Dr. Mchangwa. On the participants, I think we really did very well because the participants there are the gadgets which are being used. But the actual participants, you'll find that on day one, we had 72 participants. And then yesterday we had 80. And then today we had 84, which
Wow.
is, yes. So I want to commend everyone for participating during this learning session. And then just a reminder to say, tomorrow I'll be coming to the facilities with your lunch money. So please, may I find you there so that you have your money? If you are not there, I will take it back and use it for my own lunch. Thank you.
Thank you, Fortunate. I think there's a poll that we are supposed to respond to.
Yeah, 70% of the people have voted, so thank you. So we will go back to our 1.5 to 2 hour format on September 30.
Thank you. We look forward to that.
We do too. All right, I've got 77 people, so I'm going to end the poll and I'll share with you the results. So a high level of satisfaction, so thank you all very much.
So Barbara, maybe just one more reminder of our next webinar, the date.
September 30, Wednesday. So thank you all so much.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.